Welcome back to TimeCoins, my respected viewers. I hope all of you are doing well and enjoying your valuable time with us. Thank you for choosing TimeCoins, a channel dedicated to uncovering the deep history, hidden meanings, and real-world significance of coins from around the globe. Today, we begin a detailed historical journey into a modern yet historically important American coin, the 1981 United States quarter dollar. At first glance, this coin may appear ordinary, but behind its simple design lies a powerful story of American identity, economic transition, political symbolism, and daily life during a changing era in U.S. history. This coin is not just currency. It is a silent witness to the early 1980s, a period marked by economic challenges, social shifts, and continuity in national values. The 1981 quarter dollar belongs to the legendary Washington Quarter series, one of the longest-running and most recognizable coin designs in the United States. This series was first introduced in 1932, originally as a commemorative issue to honor the 200th birth anniversary of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Due to its popularity and strong public acceptance, the design was made permanent and continued for decades. By the time of the 1981 quarter, the Washington design had already become deeply rooted in American daily life, passing through generations, wars, economic crises, and political changes while maintaining its original artistic identity. George Washington's presence on the quarter is deeply symbolic. As the founding father of the nation and a symbol of leadership, sacrifice, and unity, Washington represents the ideals upon which the United States was built. The portrait seen on the 1981 quarter was designed by sculptor John Flanagan, who based his work on a classical bust of Washington created by French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon. Flanagan's design captures Washington in a calm, dignified profile, facing left, reflecting wisdom, restraint, and authority. This image was not meant to glorify wealth or power, but to emphasize moral leadership and national stability. Surrounding Washington's portrait on the obverse side of the coin are inscriptions that further reinforce American identity. The word liberty, placed prominently at the top, reflects one of the most fundamental values of the nation. To the left of Washington's portrait is the phrase "In God We Trust," the national motto of the United States, symbolizing faith and moral responsibility. At the bottom of the coin is the date 1981, marking the year this particular quarter entered circulation. Together, these elements transform a small piece of metal into a powerful statement of national belief and continuity. Turning to the reverse side of the 1981 quarter dollar, we encounter one of the strongest national symbols of the United States, the bald eagle. The eagle is shown with wings spread wide, holding a bundle of arrows in its talons. This image represents strength, vigilance, and the nation's readiness to defend its freedom. The arrows symbolize military strength, while the eagle itself has long been associated with courage, independence, and sovereignty. Above the eagle is the inscription, United States of America, while below it appears quarter dollar, clearly stating the issuing country and denomination. The reverse design of the Washington quarter remained largely unchanged for many decades, including in 1981. This continuity was intentional. At a time when the world was rapidly changing, the United States used consistent coin designs to reinforce stability and trust in its monetary system. People across the country, from factory workers to farmers, students to shopkeepers, handled this same design daily, creating a shared national experience tied together by common symbols. The 1981 quarter dollar was produced during a particularly important period in American economic history. The early 1980s were marked by high inflation, rising unemployment, and record interest rates. The U.S. economy was undergoing significant adjustments as policymakers attempted to control inflation and stabilize financial markets. Despite these challenges, everyday commerce continued, and coins like the quarter played a vital role in daily transactions. From vending machines and parking meters to public transport and retail purchases, the quarter was an essential unit of exchange, quietly supporting economic life during uncertain times. From a technical perspective, the 1981 quarter dollar reflects changes that had already reshaped U.S. coinage by the mid-20th century. Prior to 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver, giving them intrinsic metal value. However, rising silver prices forced the U.S. Mint to change compositions to protect the economy. By 1981, quarters were made using a copper-nickel clad composition, consisting of outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This composition gave the coin durability, affordability, and resistance to wear, making it suitable for heavy circulation. The 1981 quarter was minted at 3 U.S. Mint facilities, each contributing to its historical footprint. Coins struck in Philadelphia carry no mint mark, while those produced in Denver feature a small d mint mark. These coins were intended for general circulation and were distributed across the country. Meanwhile, the San Francisco Mint produced special proof versions, identified by an S-Mint mark. Proof coins were struck using specially prepared dies and polished blanks, resulting sharp details and mirror-like surfaces. These were not meant for everyday use, but were sold to collectors as part of official proof sets. For collectors today, the 1981 quarter dollar holds interest not because of extreme rarity, but because of its place within a larger historical and numismatic context. While most circulated examples are worth their face value of 25 cents, uncirculated coins and proof versions are more desirable. Collectors value these coins for their condition, strike quality, and historical relevance rather than precious metal content. The 1981 quarter is especially significant for those completing daytime collections of the Washington Quarter series. Beyond its physical characteristics, the 1981 quarter dollar tells a broader story about American society. It reflects a nation balancing tradition and change, maintaining its symbols while adapting to new economic realities. It represents a time when physical money was central to daily life, long before digital payments and online banking became common. Each 1981 quarter passed through countless hands, silently connecting people across different regions, backgrounds, and experiences. In conclusion of this first part, the 1981 United States quarter dollar stands as more than a common coin. It is a historical document carrying within it the legacy of George Washington, the values of liberty and unity, the challenges of the early 1980s economy, and the enduring strength of American national symbols. This coin reminds us that even everyday objects can hold deep Historical meaning. When viewed through the lens of time, continuing our historical journey on TimeCoins, it is important to understand that the 1981 United States quarter dollar is not only a product of its time, but also a reflection of how coinage functions as a bridge between government authority and everyday citizens. By 1981, the Washington quarter had already become one of the most trusted and familiar coins in American pockets. Trust in currency is essential for any economy, and the consistency of the quarter's design helped reinforce that trust during a period when inflation and economic uncertainty had caused anxiety among the public. Seeing the same familiar portrait of George Washington and the same national symbols reassured people that, despite economic challenges, the foundation of the nation remained strong. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1981 quarter dollar is how it represents the balance between tradition and practicality. The United States Mint deliberately chose to keep the Washington design unchanged for decades because it had proven successful both artistically and functionally. Changing a coin's design too frequently can confuse users and weaken confidence, especially during times of economic stress. By maintaining a stable design, the U.S. Mint ensured that the quarter remained instantly recognizable, easy to trust, and efficient for commerce. This decision highlights how coin design is not only an artistic choice, but also an economic strategy. The early 1980s marked a turning point in how Americans interacted with money. Cash transactions were still dominant, and coins like the quarter were deeply integrated into daily routines. Public transportation systems relied heavily on exact change. Vending machines operated almost entirely on coins, and parking meters demanded quarters as payment. The 1981 quarter dollar, therefore, played a crucial role in urban life, quietly supporting mobility, convenience, and economic activity. Unlike paper money, which wears out quickly, coins were durable and circulated for many years, allowing a single quarter minted in 1981 to remain in use well into later decades. From a numismatic perspective, collectors often study the 1981 quarter dollar as part of a broader timeline that shows how U.S. coinage adapted to changing economic conditions. Although the quarter no longer contained silver, collectors recognize that its copper-nickel clad composition tells an important story. This change reflects how governments must adapt their currency systems to protect economic stability. Rising silver prices in the 1960s forced the United States to rethink how coins were produced, and by 1981, the clad quarter had become a symbol of economic realism and modernization rather than decline. Another important dimension of the 1981 quarter dollar is the role of the U.S. Mint itself. Each mint facility contributed differently to the coin's story. Philadelphia, as the nation's oldest mint, represented tradition and continuity. Denver played a key role in supporting circulation demands across the western United States. San Francisco focused on precision and craftsmanship through proof coinage. Proof quarters from 1981 are especially valued by collectors because they showcase the design in its purest form, with sharp edges, frosted devices, and mirror-like fields. These proof coins were never meant to be spent. Instead, they were preserved as miniature works of art. The collector interest in the 1981 quarter dollar also highlights how value is not always measured in rarity alone. While millions of quarters were minted in 1981, collectors still seek high-quality examples to complete sets or preserve historical continuity. Coins in uncirculated condition serve as time capsules, allowing collectors to see exactly how the coin appeared when it first left the mint. This desire to preserve history, even in common objects, reflects the human need to connect with the past in tangible ways. Culturally, the Washington quarter has played a powerful role in shaping American identity. For generations, Americans have grown up seeing George Washington's face on the quarter, associating it with reliability, authority, and national pride. By 1981, this association was deeply ingrained. The quarter was not just money. It was a symbol encountered daily in homes, schools, shops, and workplaces. This constant exposure reinforced a shared national narrative, reminding citizens of their collective history every time they made a small purchase. The 1981 quarter dollar also exists at an interesting point in the timeline between old and new forms of money. While digital transactions were still rare in the early 1980s, the seeds of future change were already being planted. Credit cards were becoming more common, and electronic banking systems were slowly developing. Yet coins remained essential. This makes the 1981 quarter a representative artifact of the final decades when physical currency dominated everyday economic life. Before, the digital revolution transformed how people interact with money. From an educational standpoint, coins like the 1981 quarter dollar are invaluable. They offer a simple yet effective way to teach history, economics, and civics. Through one small object, students and collectors can learn about George Washington, U.S. political values, economic policy, minting technology, and cultural symbolism. This layered meaning is what makes numismatics such a powerful field of study. On TimeCoins, exploring these layers allows us to see beyond face value and appreciate coins as historical documents. Ascimi passis. The meaning of the 1981 quarter dollar continues to evolve. While it may still be found in circulation today, its role has subtly changed. What was once a purely functional object is gradually becoming a historical artifact. Each year that passes adds another layer of distance between the coins, time of issue, and the present, increasing its importance as a record of a specific era. Collectors and historians alike understand that preserving such coins helps preserve the memory of everyday life in the past. In closing this second part, the 1981 United States quarter dollar stands as a quiet but powerful symbol of American continuity. It connects the legacy of the nation's founding to the realities of the modern economy, bridging ideals and practicality. Through its design, composition, and circulation history, the coin tells a story of adaptation, resilience, and shared identity. What seems like a simple quarter becomes, upon closer examination, a meaningful piece of history that continues to speak to us decades after it was minted. Continuing further on TimeCoins, it is now important to look more deeply into the symbolism and artistic meaning behind the 1981 United States quarter dollar, because this is where the coin truly transforms from simple currency into a cultural artifact. Every design element on the Washington quarter was chosen with intention, and by 1981, these symbols had already gained decades of emotional and historical weight. The portrait of George Washington is not dramatic or aggressive. Instead, it is calm and composed. This artistic choice reflects the American ideal of leadership based on restraint, responsibility, and service rather than absolute power. In an era when global politics were tense and economic pressures were high, this calm image carried a reassuring message to the public. The continued use of the bald eagle on the reverse side also deserves deeper attention. The eagle has been a national symbol of the United States since the 18th century, representing freedom, vision, and strength. On the quarter, the eagle's wings are spread wide, suggesting readiness and protection, while the arrows in its talons symbolize defense and national security. Importantly, this is not an image of aggression but of preparedness. In the context of the early 1980s, during the Cold War era, this symbolism quietly reflected America's position in the world: strong, alert, and committed to preserving its independence. Another meaningful aspect of the 1981 quarter dollar lies in its simplicity. Unlike commemorative coins that feature complex designs or multiple symbols, the Washington quarter remained visually consistent and uncluttered. This simplicity made the coin easy to recognize and trust, especially for everyday use. Trust is a critical element in any currency system, and familiar designs help reinforce that trust. For millions of Americans, the quarter was not just money. It was a reliable constant in a rapidly changing world. From the perspective of coin collectors, the 1981 quarter dollar occupies a special place in the Washington quarter timeline. While it is not considered rare, it is studied closely because it represents a mature stage of the series. Collectors often examine differences in strike quality, surface condition, and mint marks to better understand how production standards varied between mint facilities. Philadelphia and Denver quarters were produced in massive quantities to meet circulation demands, while San Francisco proof quarters were struck with exceptional care, highlighting the design in its most refined form. The concept of coin grading becomes especially relevant when discussing the 1981 quarter dollar. Grading is the process of evaluating a coin's condition from heavily worn to mint state. Because 1981 quarters were widely circulated, finding examples in pristine condition can be challenging. Coins that retain sharp details, clean surfaces, and original luster are highly valued by collectors. Proof coins from San Francisco, preserved from circulation, often achieve the highest grades and are admired for their visual appeal rather than rarity. Another layer of historical importance comes from how the 1981 quarter dollar fits into the broader story of American minting technology. By this time, the U.S. Mint had refined its production methods to efficiently produce millions of coins with consistent quality. Advanced machinery, improved die preparation, and better metal bonding techniques allowed for durable coins that could withstand years of circulation. The quarter thus reflects the industrial and technological capabilities of the United States during the late 20th century. The 1981 quarter dollar also provides insight into social behavior and daily life. Coins often reveal how people lived, traveled, and spent money. In 1981, exact change was a normal part of daily routines. Children learn the value of money by counting quarters. Commuters relied on them for transportation, and small purchases often depended on having a few coins in one's pocket. This everyday interaction gave the quarter a personal presence in people's lives, making it more than just a government-issued object. Over time, as digital payments became more common, the role of coins slowly began to change. Looking back today, the 1981 quarter dollar represents an era when physical money was central to human interaction. It reminds us of a time when value was tangible, when transactions involved touch and sound, and when coins carried both economic and emotional significance. This nostalgic element adds to the coin's long-term cultural value, even if its monetary worth remains modest. Historically, coins like the 1981 quarter dollar serve as silent educators. They teach future generations about design trends, political values, economic decisions, and social habits without the need for written records. A single quarter can reveal who was honored, what symbols were valued, what materials were affordable, and how society functioned at a given moment in time. This is why historians and collectors alike continue to study even common coins with great interest. As we reach the end of this third part, it becomes clear that the 1981 United States quarter dollar is far more than a piece of spare change. It is a layered historical object that connects art, economics, politics, and daily life. Through its symbols, production, and circulation, it tells a story of continuity during change and stability during uncertainty. Each time this coin passed from hand to hand, it quietly carried these meanings forward, preserving a small but significant piece of American history. Continuing our in-depth exploration on TimeCoins, we now turn our focus to the market value, collectibility, and long-term significance of the 1981 United States quarter dollar. Understanding a coin's value requires more than simply looking at rarity. It involves studying condition, demand, historical context, and collector psychology. The 1981 quarter is a perfect example of how a common coin can still hold meaningful value within the world of numismatics, even if it is not rare in the traditional sense. At the time of its release, the 1981 quarter dollar had a face value of 25 cents and functioned purely as everyday money. Millions of these coins entered circulation, and for decades they were spent without a second thought. However, as time passes, the role of such coins slowly changes. What was once ordinary becomes historical. Collectors today view the 1981 quarter as a representative piece of early 1980s American coinage, making it an important date for those building complete Washington quarter collections. In terms of market value, most circulated 1981 quarters remain worth their face value. This is because they were produced in large numbers and lack precious metal content. Heavy circulation often results in worn details, scratches, and loss of original luster, all of which reduce collector interest. However, condition makes a significant difference. Uncirculated examples, coins that never enter daily use, are far more desirable. These coins preserve the sharpness of George Washington's portrait, the clarity of inscriptions, and the strength of the eagle on the reverse. the San Francisco proof quarters from 1981, occupy a special place in the collector market. These coins were struck specifically for collectors, using polished dies and specially prepared planchets. The result is a coin with deep mirror-like fields and frosted design elements. Proof quarters are admired for their beauty and craftsmanship rather than rarity, because they were carefully stored from the beginning. Many 1981 proof quarters remain in excellent condition today, making them accessible yet highly appealing to collectors. Another factor that influences collector interest in the 1981 quarter dollar is its role within the broader evolution of U.S. coinage. By studying coins like this, collectors can trace how American currency adapted to economic pressures, technological advancements, and changing public needs. The copper-nickel clad composition, once controversial, proved to be durable and cost-effective. Over time, it became an accepted and reliable standard. The 1981 quarter, therefore, represents a successful adaptation rather than a decline, showing how practicality can preserve a currency system. The concept of historical distance also adds to the coin's importance, as fewer people today remember the early 1980s firsthand. Objects from that period naturally gain historical weight. The 1981 quarter dollar acts as a physical connection to that era. It reflects a time before smartphones, before digital wallets, and before online payments dominated daily life. Holding such a coin today allows collectors and historians to connect with a more tactile economic past, where money was something you could feel, hear, and count by hand. From a long-term perspective, coins like the 1981 quarter dollar remind us that collectibility often grows gradually. Many coins that were once considered ordinary later became valuable because they survived in limited condition or gained importance as historical markers. While the 1981 quarter may never reach extreme monetary value, its role as a cultural and historical artifact continues to strengthen. For collectors focused on storytelling rather than profit, this coin offers rich rewards. Educationally, the 1981 quarter dollar remains a powerful teaching tool. It helps explain why nations change coin compositions, why designs remain stable for long periods, and how economic policy influences even the smallest units of money. Teachers, parents, and collectors often use such coins to introduce younger generations to history and economics in a tangible way. Through one simple quarter, complex ideas become easier to understand. As we move closer to the conclusion of this historical series, it becomes clear that the value of the 1981 United States quarter dollar cannot be measured only in cents or dollars. Its true worth lies in what it represents: continuity in design, adaptation in materials, stability during economic uncertainty, and shared national identity. These qualities elevate the coin beyond its face value and secure its place within the broader narrative of American history. As we reach the final chapter of our historical journey on TimeCoins, it is important to step back and reflect on what the 1981 United States quarter dollar truly represents. Throughout this series, we have explored its origins, design, symbolism, economic background, minting process, collector interest, and cultural importance. When all these elements are viewed together, it becomes clear that this coin is far more than a simple unit of currency. It is a quiet but powerful historical artifact that captures the spirit, of an era and preserves it in metal. The 1981 quarter dollar stands at a meaningful point in American history. It belongs to a time when the United States was facing economic pressure, inflation, and uncertainty, yet remained committed to stability, continuity, and national identity. The decision to maintain the Washington quarter design during this period was not accidental. It reflected confidence in the nation's founding values and a desire to reassure the public through familiar symbols. George Washington's calm portrait, unchanged for decades, served as a reminder of leadership rooted in responsibility and unity rather than fear or chaos. From a historical perspective, the coin also represents the success of adaptation. The shift from silver to copper-nickel composition, once controversial, proved essential for protecting the U.S. economy by 1981. This change had fully integrated into everyday life, showing how practical decisions can preserve long-term stability. The quarter became durable, affordable, and reliable qualities that mirrored the broader goals of the nation at the time. In this way, the coin reflects not weakness, but resilience and realism. Culturally, the 1981 quarter dollar is deeply connected to everyday American experience. It passed through millions of hands, crossed social and economic boundaries, and played a role in daily routines across the country. From children learning the value of money to adults relying on exact change for transport and purchases, the quarter became part of lived memory. These personal interactions give the coin emotional weight that cannot be measured by market price alone. For collectors, the 1981 quarter dollar offers a lesson in how value is defined in numismatics. While it may not be rare or expensive, it is historically complete. It tells a full story of design continuity, minting technology, economic change, and cultural identity. Proof coins from San Francisco highlight craftsmanship and precision, while uncirculated examples preserve a snapshot of the coin as it first appeared. Together, these versions allow collectors to experience the coin across different dimensions of history and artistry. Looking toward the future, coins like the 1981 quarter dollar will continue to gain importance as physical money becomes less central to daily life. In an increasingly digital world, tangible objects from the past become more meaningful. They remind us of a time when money had weight, sound, and texture, when value could be held in the palm of one's hand. For future generations, this quarter will not simply represent 25 cents, but an era defined by transition between the old and the modern world. In the end, the true legacy of the 1981 United States quarter dollar lies in its ability to connect people across time. It connects the ideals of the 18th century, represented by George Washington, with the economic realities of the late 20th century, and carries those meanings forward into the present. It shows us that history does not only live in books or monuments, but also in the smallest objects we use every day. Here on TimeCoins, our goal is to reveal these hidden stories and remind viewers that every coin has a voice. The 1981 quarter dollar may speak softly, but its message is clear. Stability, identity, and history can exist even in the most ordinary forms. By understanding such coins, we gain a deeper appreciation for the past and a stronger connection to the present. Thank you for joining TimeCoins on this complete historical Journey of the 1981. United States $quarter. If you found this series informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. The full video and detailed history are available on our YouTube channel TimeCoins.